morning, everybody. Welcome to Fall Farmathon 2025. I think we're on episode 11, somewhere around there. Hold on, I gotta back this up. Talk to y'all in a minute. But the truck is backed up here. We have a little bit of extra work to do this morning before we can get in the field with harvest. We're over here to do barn chores, and while we're over here doing barn chores, we are going to be loading up the older ram, and we're selling him to our neighbor. And then we have a younger replacement lamb that we got a couple months ago that he's been separated off because this ram will fight a lot and he's a lot bigger. So the new ram has been separated off. We're gonna sell this bigger ram and to our neighbor, and then we're gonna have the replacement lamb here. So that's what we're working on this morning. We need to get him. I think we're just gonna load him up on the back of the truck. I don't know how exactly we're gonna do it. It has been rumored, but we're just gonna put him on there, and then Emma and I are going to hold him down, and we're gonna take him up to the neighbors. So that could be interesting, but at the very least, it's gonna make a good video.
Hey, do I have him? Hey!
Yeah, you have him. You have
See
him.
him? Yeah. Try to butt me. Go.
Oh, whoops.
Everybody
It was
up there.
pointed down.
Drag him up there to the front a little bit and just keep his
We turned Cletus out, and Cletus is fighting with the ewe. Okay, y'all, we have him secured, and we are heading up to the neighbors. Just a disclaimer, this is not hurting him. We just put a blindfold on him because animals will freak out a lot less if they have their eyes covered. And then we secured his feet just so he does not jump up and run away and take off. It's a little bit necessary. Yeah, it's to keep him from hurting us or hurting himself. It's not hurting him at all.
He look good to you and all?
Oh yeah. Wish them other ewes would come up there, but
We got him delivered up here. The ewes are finding him.
they found the ewes.
There they go. We got the ram taken out to the neighbors and unloaded, and he's doing good up there. And now we are getting ready to head to the field, but before we head to the field, we're gonna do a little bit of maintenance here. So we have the combine up here, we're fueling it up right now. Got the air filter out. We're gonna blow the air filter out, and then we are going to do a little bit of greasing, mostly on the corn head, and then we will be ready to head to the field. So let me give you all a little update on where we're gonna be at in the field today. This is the field that we're working on right now. That's all we have left. Should not take too long to get done. And then once we get that done, we will be heading up to the river bottom to start working. And then that is all that we have left for harvest. We've cleaned out this air filter already. Definitely twice so far this harvest season, but it always gets a lot of dust in it. Okay. Okay, the greasing is done. It's done fueling up. We got the air filter put back on, so it is ready to head to the field. Okay, y'all, we are on our way up to the river bottom right now. We're going with the combine, so we're taking it slow here. And they got the rest of that little field done. It was just short rows, and there was not a lot left, so finished that up real quick. And now it is about 11 o'clock. We're heading up here to the river bottom. Cutting into this is going to be very interesting. Because if you remember, this field was flooded for a little bit earlier this year, so we don't know what we're going into up here, but we'll cut into it and see what we got and just go from there. I will keep you guys updated on what it looks like once we get into it up here. Okay, we have made it. We're getting started. I'm gonna check the quality here. Like this corn, this wasn't really flooded, so it looks pretty good. Some of it over that way though had a lot of water on it, so I really don't know what we're going to be getting into over there. We need to look at the quality. There are a few kernels on the ground, so I'll just let Dad know about that. Hi guys! Hello, Mr. Cletus. Getting along with all the ladies? Okay, we are over here to get the semi now. And while we're over here at the barn to get the semi, we're gonna go ahead and do afternoon chores. Stopped real quick. Something is smelling kind of hot on the combine, so we need to check over everything here.
Oh, damn.
Well, something is really hot.
Okay.
So we've gotten a pretty good sample here. The corn in this field is terrible. It's just really, really bad. You can see that there. Well, nothing seems to be catching on fire, but we're just checking over everything good. As soon as we stepped out of the cab, you can just smell something hot. And this field is looking like it's not even harvestable. Honestly, at this point, it's just a mess. Just kind of for comparison for y'all, the last time we harvested corn off of this field, one pass down to the end of that field, we were full and had to dump. And we took down and all the way back, and we have like 50 or 60 bushels in the tank.
And then I just tell him about 80.
Guys, our corn failed, but we got candy bars.
Well, now we can figure out what form to stick it on, or what form we want. Maybe I don't know whatever the insurance form says. You know, that's whatever. So.
We're scouting these two smaller fields back here and seeing if they're as bad as the big field or if they are harvestable at all.
Here.
This corn does look a lot better than the stuff in the big field. This field is like a total loss. I'll give y'all a little bit more of a thorough explanation of that later, but we can't, it is not harvestable. So we're just gonna have to deal with insurance on this. We do have a couple small fields over there that don't look like they're quite as bad. So we're gonna go over there and try, they're just like a couple acres each. And we're gonna try to get as much as we can off of there and see how they do. But yeah. Just kind of a mess up here and very discouraging. So I guess after we get these two fields done, we're going to be done with harvest. So finishing up a little bit more abruptly than we planned on, but I guess we are just about finished with harvest. We just got a couple more fields left to do and we'll be done with harvest this afternoon. This little field up here is about the only field here worth combining. There's one more small field back there that we might be able to get something off of, I don't know. But this field has been over 200 bushels quite a bit at a time, so it's pretty good. We're just gonna, it's just a tiny little 2-acre field here though, so we're just gonna get this done. Y'all, today has been so chaotic. I have barely been able to get footage, much less actually explain to y'all everything that's going on. So I'm very sorry about that, but it's not any different right now because we literally just got home from the field, ran inside, changed into pig clothes real fast, and now we got to go down here and load a load of pigs. So, whew, not slowing down, still chaotic. But I will definitely give y'all the whole update at some point, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. Well, it did rain a little bit. Good morning, everybody. It is now Saturday morning, and today is going to be the final day of harvest for 2025. So this means this is the final episode of Fall Farmathon for 2025. For now, I just want to give you guys an update on yesterday and like a little recap of yesterday, because yesterday was such a chaotic day. It was not what we were planning for the day to be, and I feel like I did not get to record a lot, much less explain a lot to y'all. So we went up there to start the river bottom. It's right up there next to the river. The river got out back early in August, and that whole field was underwater, like a lot of water. It was under, like 90% of the field was underwater, and it was all the way up to the ears, to where even the ears on the corn stalks were underwater in some places. So it was very bad, and the water did go back down, but we did not know how the corn was going to be this fall. And it was obvious that some of it along the road, where the water was on at the worst, it was completely dead. We knew that was going to be no good. But out in the middle of the field, we thought that it would be decent. So we get up there and we start going, and some of the end rows and like the furthest areas of the field from the river where there was not much water on it was not bad. It was decent, and so that gave us some hope that maybe it was going to be harvestable. But we started getting out to the middle of the field, and like anywhere that was not that little 10% that wasn't completely flooded for a while, it was terrible. It was so bad. It was so bad in every way. It was not shelling off the cob at all. Like, we would take one pass down and then we would take a pass back, and you could look over where you had just gone with the combine. There were whole ears of corn just laying on the ground, and I don't know if the cobs were too soft, it wasn't shelling off good, or it was just so small. It was not shelling off. We were leaving so many ears of corn, and then what did shell off was horrible. The worst sample of corn that I've seen. So we do have some insurance up there. Obviously insurance is not ideal, because with insurance you don't get the money from it that you would if you got a good harvest off of it, but it keeps you from losing as much money as you would otherwise. So it became pretty clear pretty quickly once we cut through the middle of the field that that field was just worthless. It was not going to be harvestable, and if it was harvestable, even if we were able to shell all the corn off, we couldn't sell it. It was too bad to sell. So we took it up there to a local grain elevator, and just to get like an official statement basically that this corn is terrible, it's worthless, we can't sell it. And very quickly we took it up there, and it was rejected very quickly. And I'm just trying to keep you guys updated on all that and what's going on, and kind of the realistic side of things, because there are the disappointing things like this during harvest too. And this is the second year in a row that we have not been able to harvest that field because it gets flooded out. There are two small fields up there, like talking like a couple acres each, that were a little bit higher up that we are able to harvest. The furthest up field, which was 2 acres, we harvested that yesterday, and I showed you guys that, and it was decent. It was, averaging up over 200 bushels an acre. So then there's one that's a little bit further back. It has quite a bit of good corn in it still, but it definitely does have some water damage too. So we're going to try and harvest as much as we can out of that field. That is what we're going to be working on today, and then after that we will be completely done with harvest 2025. It did rain a little bit last night, not much, but a little bit, so we're going to let things dry out a little bit, and then we'll get up there and we will harvest whatever we can out of that little field, and then we will bring all the equipment home. While we're waiting for everything to dry off enough that we can get in the field, we're going to be taking down this auger and gravity wagon that we have set up to this bin, and just start getting some of this stuff put away now that harvest is just about over and it is done being used for the year. This is where these augers stay. We cable them together and then they're on either side of the bin to where they can support each other, and that way if we have a windstorm or something, we're not going to be worried about one of them blowing over. Before we head up to the field, we're going to get the semi unloaded. Brought it down here loaded yesterday evening, and we did not unload it because we had to get over to load some pigs. So we got that done, and now we are going to get this unloaded before we head up to the field. This is all we have left. Just a couple passes. You can see we have a few chunks back there, but we're not harvesting those. That corn back there is pretty rough, so we're not harvesting those chunks. We just have a couple more passes right up here, and then we will be finished with harvest. That's the corn that we're leaving. There's some back there along the edge. It's not as bad as what was in that big field, and we could harvest that. We could probably get maybe 100 bushel an acre yield off of it, but it's really not great corn, and we'd rather just leave it for the wildlife up here, honestly. That low quality kind of corn is going to be more value to them than it will be for us. Iowa winters are brutal, and that kind of corn that we can leave in the field there might be the difference between some of these pheasants and turkeys and deer making it through the winter or not. So if we have the opportunity to leave some of our lower quality corn in the field for them, we're happy to do it. I know a lot of people have a problem with deer being overpopulated and are not very happy with the deer, and they are a real nuisance when they are overpopulated. But we're actually having the opposite problem here. We have seen the fewest deer this harvest that we have seen in about as long as I can remember. There's been fields that we combine that like every year we can count on seeing some deer, and we have not seen any. And we had a disease go through, it's EHD or blue tongue or something like that a while back, and it took out a lot of our deer population. So there are not a lot of deer around here right now, and especially, you know, they've been dealing with disease going through it already. So going through a winter is tough on the wildlife. So if we can help them out a little bit by leaving some of our lower quality corn that is not going to be a whole lot of good for us, then we're happy to do that. Okay, everything is unloaded and put into the bin. I think while we're over here, we're going to take this auger down and put that away, and then that'll be done for the year. We won't have to worry about that. And then we will start taking some equipment back home. And then we'll probably be calling it a day pretty soon. We've had a good day, we've got harvest all done, and we're gonna say that's a pretty good week. Okay, harvest is about to an end, and I wanted to give y'all kind of a recap and just how the whole situation of harvest and how the economy is, and just kind of that whole thing that you guys maybe don't hear a lot about. So I wanted Dad to explain a little bit about that to y'all.
Well, let's see. Overall on the year, yeah, it's been a difficult year. You have two aspects. The weather was tough. We've had more rain this year than we've had in the last 3 or 4 years. And you'd think rain makes grain, and there's some truth to that. But boy, there's a lot of disease pressure and fungus and pressure. It was tough this year. Our yields in corn were not nearly what I think the government thinks they are and were. I think there's going to be a major correction in that. The markets are way down. If you don't know, corn prices are super down. Bean prices are super down, and yeah, it's tough. Nobody's going to be making a lot of money. A lot of people will be losing money. So that's the way it is. Personally, I think that if you have yourself in a situation to where this economy is going to crash you, I know it's callous, but I don't think we're to the point where you ought to be bailing people out that can't survive right now. That might have been poor management. I think some people are going to have to suffer some consequences of their own management. I hate it, but some people took risks and they need to suffer the consequences of those risks. Some people were poor management and they need to suffer the consequences of their poor management. I understand that some people were just starting out and it was a bad time for them to function when they don't have a good foundation. And that's what would be sad, but it's very hard to find that's more of a rare case. It's hard to find that rare case and help that young fella up. I don't think it's the government's job anyways. I think it ought to be some of these old farmers who don't have a son of their own or something to help that guy out. That's the way it ought to be out here. That's what I would encourage. I don't think the government ought to go out here, because then the government's going to be propping up guys who just, they got greedy, or they took a risk and they need to suffer the consequence of that risk, or even they just had bad management. And all those guys kind of need to fall by the wayside. It's not really fair to somebody who done it right if the government's going to bail them out. So actually, I think this economy, it has its place, and it needs to work. And it's not going to crush us. It just, because we've stayed conservative. We don't have to really tighten up, because we just stay tight. So no, we're not going to collapse, because we haven't gotten greedy, and we haven't gotten stupid, and just haven't we haven't taken unnecessary risks. But we're kind of small. Stay small and do good. Be conservative. Be humble, and that's the way we'll stay. So this economy certainly isn't terrible for us. If anything, it irritate me if people don't suffer some consequences because I see how some people do, and they need to get checked up. And if they need to lose some ground or lose some money, or the bank tightens them up, that's what needs to happen to keep things correct out here in the real world. So as far as the year, it wasn't really all that pleasant of a year. There was highlights of enjoyable things. Our beans yielded 80 bushels average across the farm. That's very good. But when they're not $10, that's very bad. But our beans yielded great. I'm going to say that the bean prices is probably where they ought to be according to how our yields. Everybody made a lot of beans. The corn was not there. I think the corn's going to go up dramatically if it finds out how little corn actually got combined, especially for us. We was disappointed in our yields. We didn't spray fungicide, but then again, I hear a lot of guys who did, and it didn't help them. So all that moisture made a lot of bacteria and a lot of fungus, and it hurt. And then corn, they say beans don't like wet feet. Our beans was on the very, very best ground we had. Our corn was on our worst ground. And then that river bottom corn was on soggy ground. I tell you, if you ask me, corn doesn't like wet feet. This hybrids, we were all designed to endure drought, and we were making 240 bushel corn in drought years. Bad droughts, too. And now this drought corn, it obviously does not like wet feet. We had, our corn was on our worst ground. I'm saying 180 on some of our worser ground, which is bad for us. We expect 200, and we managed for 200. Our rough ground over there, I was pleased with that other farm, our bigger area that we combined, focused on first. You know, it has 280, 290 potential, and you would think with all this rain, this should be the year it done 280, 290, maybe 300 on a lot of it, averaging 275. We averaged maybe I don't know, when all said and done, 2 to 220. You know, for this year, especially if the government's factoring in bumper crops. Here in Central Iowa, we should have it, and we didn't have it. So, yeah, I think it's going to do some major correcting. But then again, who knows? So, just there were some major disappointments. It was a struggle to get it in. A lot of wet feet, and a little disappointing on some of the yields. Watching that rust come in, that was a bummer. Around here, they caught 2 Chinese guys in the fields planting disease. That's infuriating. We have the disease, the rust they thought came up on the front there in July, and that infected a lot before anybody even knew it. That was tough. Then you got these guys doing biological warfare from China. That's infuriating, and why isn't that like national news? But anyways, yeah. All said and done, though, nobody got hurt. We're not going to have to change our lifestyle because we never got in high cotton, you know. So we're happy. We're going to keep on going. Our mentality is it's God, so we're going to do it for him anyways. So what's it matter? He's going to take care of us. We're on his payroll, so he's the one that suffers low prices, and I'm sure he's not worried about it if it's his. And so we operate this as a steward, and that's an extension of what God is and has. So all in all, that's the year. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but that's the insight to the economy and our yields and everything. So to get done on October 18th is nice. We didn't have to dry, which is nice. But it was a different year. And every year is different. Not to say that about this year. So we'll see what next year is. We're already excited about next year, not depressed. There's moments of just, it wears you down and people crack, and we had that in amongst our family and all. That happens. It's difficult and emotions and stuff, and just it wears you down after a while. But all in all, everybody's hopeful and happy, and we're ready to do another year, and we'll continue on. But then again, we do it for the Lord, so any number of things he could take it away. So we're doing good.
And that brings us to the end of Harvest 2025 and Fall Farmathon for 2025. I hope all of you enjoyed following along with us this harvest season and just seeing what every day brought, whether that was a very boring day where things went smoothly and just not much happened, or if it was a more interesting day where we had some problems and breakdowns and had to figure some things out. Thank you guys so much for coming along with us through it all. I love being able to bring you guys along and all of your support, and every single one of you who watches our videos truly means so much to us. We appreciate y'all so much, and we will see you guys very soon.